Well, hello. I want to welcome you to a review of an exotic Norwegian pen. Yep, Norway. So I got this by trading a Noodler's Conrad with Ove Bjornson of Norway, and this is a Pon 52. It's a vintage pen. It dates probably from the very, very late 1940s up to the 1950s. In fact, at the end of this video, I will give you a thumbnail sketch of the history of the Pon company. But in the meantime, let me just walk you through this pen. First of all, I know what the color is doing to this pen. This is a super dark brown pen. It just really looks black to me on the monitor. And sadly, at the moment, I'm having photographic issues. So if anybody has some suggestions for how I can create some kind of a light box, I'd welcome them, because I'm not getting the natural light when I'm available to photograph. So, that said, dark brown. I don't know if it's gold trim, gold plated trim, gold filled trim. It is a gold nib, which we'll get to that in a second. And then it has this little feller. So let's walk through it. I like just this plain unadorned clip. A little design to it, but nothing too special. A very simple finial. Just a plain black plastic thing. A blind cap on the other end. I will come back to the blind cap in just a moment. Let's look inside. Alright, so it's a screw cap pen. Carefully unscrew it. And we get this magnificent nib. Alright, so at the top, it says Garantert. So I'm guessing that's Norwegian. Then there's a big P and a little p inside of a circle. And then below that, it says first KVAL. And below that, 14 karat. So, that's the nib. Very flexible nib. It's gold, obviously, 14 karat. The feed is fairly straightforward and plain. There's a little bit of a comb on the nib side, but nothing too crazy. Then I said it's a button filler. So let me just unscrew this, which I need to do off screen. There we go. So button filler. And yeah, I've looked at other pictures of vintage button fillers, and usually they have more button. And I thought there was something wrong with this pen at first, but nope, works just fine. So I'll talk about how the button filler works here in a minute. So that pretty much covers the parts of the pen. Let's see, does that show the brown? Yeah, you get just a slight hint of the brown there. And what the heck? Close up of the clip just because I can. So this is a decent sized pen. It's definitely isn't going to fool you into thinking it's a modern pen. I just very much like its plain, understated look. Now, if we're going to talk size here for a minute, which I seem to have been forgetting to do in a lot of my reviews. Oh, that's awkward. I need a shorter ruler, I think. This pen is 13 centimeters long. Set it next to a Noodler's Conrad, which is 14 centimeters long. And just for giggles and snorts, let's throw a Lamy 2000 in, which is also about 14 centimeters long. So not a bad sized pen, really. So this is a... Uh-oh. There we go. I won't quite say I did that on purpose, but I'm glad that happened. This pen starts up like a champ every time, even after it's been sitting for a few days. Because I was actually going to film this review Friday night, and then I just got tired and didn't do it. And then Saturday, I did all that stuff in the snow and the cold. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to mess with video. And Sunday, I was getting ready for school, and then all of a sudden, it's Monday. Alright, so it's a Pon 52. I have no idea about the nib size. The ink is one of my favorites. It is Sailor Epinard. And let's just check out the flex on this puppy. And since this is a vintage pen, I'm going to throw in the usual precaution. Do not push a pen beyond its limits, because if you do, the nib tines go boing, and you'll never get them back. So let's check out the flex. I'd say that's pretty spectacular, wouldn't you? I know this is usually just a product of the ink, but what the heck? We'll do wetness and flow. No problem keeping up. Look at all that ink. Then I usually do a smear test. I think I usually do the smear test first, so whoops. And let's try it just with no pressure. So, lays down a lot of ink. This is impressive. Reverse writing. Apparently that's a thing with some people. I got bored writing the whole sentence, so I'm just going to use the word reverse. Alright, so we're doing pretty well. I am impressed. Now, let's turn to our quote, and then we will discuss a little bit about button fillers and the history of the Pen Company. Alright, so let's just talk briefly about the writing experience. First of all, very smooth. Second of all, I like this concave grip. I just wish the grip was a little bit bigger. I'm just not quite sure where to put my fingers, which is a little awkward. I mean, I love writing with the pen, don't get me wrong. I just could have dealt with the grip maybe being a little bit longer, maybe a 1/4 inch longer or something. But overall, very comfortable in the hand. It's right sized. It's well weighted. I can post it. It looks okay posted. It feels okay posted. I just prefer it not posted. And would I buy it again? Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm finding I really like these, I hate to call it exotic, but exotic pens that nobody's ever heard of. You know, and this isn't some blow you away multi-$1,000 Mont Blanc. This is just a plain ordinary pen that plain ordinary people would have had. And I love it. So I said I want to talk a little bit about the button filler thing. Now, for more information, of course, you'll need to go online. I'll put a link in the description right ahead of all my links about the Pen Company. But when you have a button filler, here's your barrel. I won't include the nib in this picture or the feed. I'll just write nib down here so you know where it is. So the pen is going to have a sac. S-A-C. And then up here we have a button. Whoosh, whoosh, sorta. Badly drawn button, but a button nonetheless. And the button attaches to kind of a jaggedy thing that runs a metal bar down the side. Now when you press on the button, there's a second piece of metal here that's going to come over and squeeze the sac. And then of course the sac reinflates once you release the button. And you do that like 5 times or so and you have a full fill. This is not a vacuumatic that you may have heard of. This is actually the first button filler I've ever dealt with. So, interesting. And I like it. You know, I will admit latex sacs aren't my first choice for a pen, but if I'm going to get into the vintage thing, I guess I better learn to deal with them. So I actually ordered a variety pack of latex sacs from Anderson Pens so that as I start getting more of these guys, I can start repairing. This one did not need repairing. Ove Bjornsson sent it to me in wonderful shape. And as I was writing, I happened to think, and I have no idea if this will show up on the camera, but let's try it. There, you can just barely make it out right there. It actually says Pond 52 on it. That help? No. Alright, you're just going to have to trust me, but it says Pond 52. That's how I know the model. Now that I've talked to you about the pen, I want to talk to you for a little bit about the the Pond company. Now, I don't own every single model of Pond. I doubt I ever will. I couldn't find where there are collectors of Pond out there, but I'm sure there must be, especially in Norway, because this is a native Norwegian company. So I wrote down a couple of notes. I even have one photograph I could find that is free, that's licensed, that I can use it. I provided links to some more photographs and more history, and if you can read Norwegian, probably more history than I can read. So the Pond company was built in the very late 1940s. Actually started it in 1946. It was built in Sigerud, and I may be mispronouncing. I'm not Norwegian. I don't know much about pronouncing Norwegian. I took a semester of German, and that's about as close as I've gotten. But Sigerud by farmer Arne Karlsrud. And by the way, there's a Karlsrud in North Dakota because we have a big Norwegian population here. I just don't happen to be part of it because I'm Polish. The pen factory actually opened right around 1950. So this farmer built it. Now, and they employed 10 people. They built, most of their pens were button fillers and piston fillers. Sigerud is apparently a road or like a village near Langen, Langen. This same farmer also ran a grocery store, a cafe, and several small industries in modern buildings at Langen. So they planned when they opened to make 10,000 pens with their 10 employees in 2 months. And they planned quality pens that would compete with imports. One of my links is a vintage advertisement for the Pond pens. I don't speak Norwegian, but it makes me cringe watching the pen get embedded into a dartboard. The factory itself is now in tough shape because it closed in the 1990s. None of the articles I found said why. My guess is the same reason a lot of other fountain pen makers closed up shop. So the factory is now in very tough shape and was actually going to be torn down. So it was purchased by a gentleman named Lars Aas, A-A-S. I don't really know how to say that. And anyway, his plan is 3 apartments and a staircase carpentry workshop with it. And I did find an article that I will link there that just shows that he's making progress. They've taken down a big part of the old factory. And there's also an article about I guess she's his sister-in-law, Marianne Agard, I don't know how to say that one, Mikkelsen, who's a teacher, and she did a street art project. They put little carpenter ants and some other things on it. Whatever. I'm not a street art guy, but I just find it interesting. So this vintage ad is an old Pond display case from the 1950s. And so this is apparently a pen that a lot of Norwegians would have grown up with using in their schools. So I think that's really cool. I am so grateful to Ove Bjornsson for this pen. I traded him a Noodler's Conrad, one of my good ones, an acrylic one. I even traded several nibs with it. But I still think I came out ahead because, wow, what a magnificent pen this is. And where are you going to see him when you live in small town, North Dakota? So very excited about it. And I hope you enjoyed it too. I'm hoping by doing these vintage pens to just get more interest in them out there. And, make people realize that these weird pens that nobody's heard of, just because it's not a Mont Blanc, doesn't mean it's not a really, really, really cool piece of history. So I thank you for watching. And I am trying something new with my videos. I'm trying to do a scheduled upload. Let me learn how to do the schedule thing first. but I'm looking at uploading them on Wednesday evenings now instead of Thursday mornings. And I'll figure out when, and I'm trying to figure out how to tell exactly what time it actually appears, and yeah, I'm working all that out. This is also my first review with the new, this may sound hideous, the new microphone. Yes, I did get talked into buying one of my own now, and we'll see how that turns out. You'll also notice maybe a few editing things, and I'm just generally trying to bump up the quality of these videos. And I need to work on the website side. I've got lights. I'm hoping I can work out a better method of photographing rather than waiting for bright sunlight, because it's just not happening in the winter. Because in the winter, the sun is too low in the sky here, and it doesn't come in the right windows, and I can't get good exposure, which is why, mysteriously, my blog has just stalled. But come back to it. All right, so I thank you for watching. Hope this was interesting. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.